slightly larger cast list, but a smiling cast list who can now take their turn one at a time. We'll start ladies first with Amy to tell us how chuffed, and chuffed, by the way, is a Manchester word, if you don't know that. Just chuffed means really happy, right? and although we might put a bit of this out on video, you can't see the smiles I'm seeing, but Amy is smiling from ear to ear. Tell me how happy you are about this, and did you have any doubt that City would be vindicated?
Over the moon, over the blue moon, way. It was just, I think at first, you know, you have that thing of like, are we going to, you know, because you know what UEFA's like and you know what these governing bodies are like. And it's one of them, you either thinking, as time went on, I kept saying, yeah, we're going to be all right. And my bosses, my managing directors at the nursery I work in, are big, massive City fans. I think that's why I got employed, to be honest. And when you go in our office at nursery, the whole of the wall is just covered in City stuff. And they were like, yeah, we're going to be all right. We'll be fine. And you've just got to believe in it, haven't you? So we did good. And that's the main thing.
And how does this, do you think, Amy, left City? Have they got a stronger hand? Is this just about bragging rights, or is there more to it than that?
If I was Sheikh Mansour and Khaldoon, I'd be fuming, because you've got apart from certain teams that stuck by us, you've got the majority of the Premiership were after us. And I just think that it's downright disgusting, absolutely awful, especially some of them teams who are in the bottom of half of the Premiership who haven't got anything to thingy about. And I understand United, I understand Liverpool, but some teams aren't even worth even the paper they're written on.
I suppose you mean Burnley, really, don't you? Because they were one of the teams.
Yeah. And I've been to Burnley. I've been to the football ground. I won't say what I think about Burnley, but there you go. And I just think that if I was them, I'd be like really angry with them all. And I'd definitely be after some, you know, knocking on people's doors and after the throat sort of thing.
Gary, as an ex-player, you know, tell us your view on what's happened today.
Listen, Cheesy, we know this has been going on since February, when we was committed of serious breach of financial fair play, same from 2012 to 2016. So we're talking like 4 years ago, came to nearly 5 years. So I don't care who you are, and thankfully I've never been in that position. If you go to court and you're depending on a judge, or in this case, 3 judges that was going to do, no matter what evidence you've got, no matter how confident you feel, when you get into a court of law, this was a court of football law, of course, is that it all depends on the day, how they look at it, because not always everybody looks at it the same way. And I'm not saying for 1 second that it shouldn't have been looked at and could see quite clearly, because it seems to be that what's coming out is quite clear from the club, as they've been adamant right from the first minute that there was no wrongdoings going on, apart from, as you eloquently said, about if you was going to prison and you didn't want to speak to anybody, or you're going to court and you said, I'm not going to speak to you, I won't get a fair hearing, I'll tell you in court when I get there. Apart from doing that, in fact, the club actually, my understanding is that they didn't feel it was part of theories and allegations that they believed was untrue, and why they had to answer that. And they said to, we'll give you everything you want. What you're now is trying to stir something up that is not either true or viable. So we're not prepared to answer something. If we have to go to court, then we'll bring it out now. But I think UEFA now, I think they're going to be scrutinised more than they would like. That's a certainty. So that little nest of rats they thought they were going to get into is turning into, just like it did with FIFA. Now it would be UEFA. There'll be hidden skeletons in that UEFA, which they didn't want coming out. And hopefully, like he did with FIFA, it will come out in UEFA. So all's well that ends well. We got the right decision. The club was adamant from the first day that we'd done no wrongdoings. So a great day for Manchester City. A very bad day for our rivals, who wasn't so much caring that we'd be unsuccessful for any wrongdoings. They just didn't want us to have the power, to have the players to win eight of the last 10 domestic trophies you could win over the past few years. So they didn't want any of that. They wanted us to be out of it and maybe lose some of our star players, maybe get a little bit disjointed. Hopefully we'd lose our manager. Hopefully we wouldn't have the money. So a lot of those ex-players who was shouting out and voicing their opinions from other clubs in February, you don't hear much of them today. They've been very quiet on all fronts. I'm hoping they're eating that big portion of humble pie. Yeah. Because trust me, when I come across them, they will be eating humble pie in front of me, that's a certainty.
I suspect I'll come to Andy last because I've got a specific line of question and I want to go with Andy. But Harlan, as a very eloquently spoken fan, a passionate fan who cares very much about what happens on the field, this was an off-field victory. How do you feel as a young City fan about this decision today?
Ian, supporting City, it's always an honour, but we talk about trophies and the success that we've had over the last 10 years. This today felt like we'd lifted a title, in my opinion. The fact that it's been that long that we've had to wait for this decision, not only since February the 14th, which was Valentine's Day, when our hearts seemed broken and now fixed again. Didn't know there was anybody out there that could operate on hearts and fix them. But Khaldoon's managed to do that, and he's fixed all our hearts, so he's a qualified surgeon as well now, isn't he? But yeah, we're back 2 years ago when this all first started to come to the fore, if you want to call it that. It's been a long process, and a lot of fans maybe had doubts in their minds. Some fans probably read the initial stuff. No, I didn't know. Not after maybe, initially when you hear something like that, the first reaction sometimes is, put your blue tinted glasses on all you want and go, oh, we wouldn't do that. But there's an initial thought process. I think everyone goes, what us? And then there's that initial thought of, like, your heart sinks and goes, oh, I hope we've not. And then you come round after a bit and go, no, because we wouldn't do that. So it's one of them. I mean, I'd be lying to say that when I first heard it, I wasn't a bit taken back, as if to say, I hope we've not done that. But after a couple of minutes of thinking about it, you come back into your City mindset and go, no, because knowing the owner and knowing the manager and then the head coach and the staff and everybody at the club with the integrity that we've got, you almost trust them. And I said last week on the podcast, Ian, I trust Khaldoon, I trust Ferran, I trust Sheikh Mansour, I trust Cheeky, I trust all the backroom staff. And I think for Ferran to sit there behind that camera lens with Chris months ago and speak so eloquently about how we were so innocent and how he believed that we'd done everything above board, he was putting his neck on the line. There's no two ways about it when he said them words. And, after that interview, I was more than confident that we'd be exonerated anyway. But going back to what you were saying, Nenny, and yeah, I just, it feels like a title today. It feels like we've won a title because of it's like 2 seasons worth of mud being thrown, and we've finally been exonerated, and now we've been able to lift the title of beating UEFA via the court of arbitration.
Now, the question I wanted to ask to Andy, as a very successful businessman who is at the top of his profession, so therefore has an insight into business and how it works, is first of all, how do you think UEFA are going to be affected by the outcome of this? And also on a commercial level, and I know that the main thing for us as fans is what happens on the pitch and winning trophies and the magnificent football at pet shows, but there is also the business side of this. How do you think UEFA and City, business-wise, are affected by this decision?
Well, thanks, Ian, for having me on tonight. It's great to be back on a great day in so many ways. Before I answer your question, this is one for the lads who were in Seville.
He's holding up, for those who are listening to this on the podcast without the visuals, a sign that says boo.
and basically, I think our fans have been vindicated, because we've known from the beginning that this has all been about, let's say, protectionism, anti-competitive behaviour, if we talk about a business. concept. Today is all about reputation. And Ferran Soriano, to speak the way he did, as Haaland just mentioned back in February, he properly put his career, his reputation on the line. And that was how solid he felt. A man who doesn't speak in public very often, the CEO of a major corporation, a £500 million corporation, putting his reputation on the line. And he's been vindicated today, as has Khaldoon, as of the whole club, really, in terms of how they've conducted themselves. UEFA, on the other hand, an organisation which is full of corruption. They obviously have no whistleblowing policy of any value. If they did, we wouldn't have problems at Bury, Bolton, Blackpool, and now Wigan, and probably many other teams in many other leagues. So it's 1-0 to City, big time, this one, against UEFA. And of course, it means commercially that sponsors can now breathe easy. City can chase more revenue because they're clean and been proven to be clean. And I think that bodes well for the club in terms of revenue streams going forward, for players who will stay, who may have considered their career options. So it's a win on so many levels, but mainly it's about the reputation of the club, its owners, its management, and most of all, what matters, the players and the fans of the club who've stuck through this. And yeah, we can talk about whether booing's the right thing or not. We haven't been bitter, we've been right. Yeah. Completely correct in the way we've behaved. And I think that's what today is. It's a victory for Man City in every single part of the club. And UEFA have now got a major problem with their credibility and how they control football going forward, because it could potentially now be a gate for a free-for-all. But they've got to now have a real look at their policies, procedures. You can't be judge, jury and executioner anymore. You can't allow whistleblowers like Der Spiegel, who I hope the club go after legally for what they've done, because it's just corrupt and it's wrong and it's illegal. So well done, the Blues. Well done to the management of Manchester City and their legal team.
My thanks to Hotclickmarketing, who are specialists in online marketing. See the number and the website on the advert. Thanks for your continued support.